Okay, so the second half of your notes today, under these circles here, we're going to talk about hard edge painting. Okay, and so you get out something to write with, and we're going to write hard edge painting. I need to zoom that in. And hard edge painting is sharp transition. This is your definition. Sharp transition from one color to another. Sharp transition from one color to another. And that is what we did right here. Okay, right on this edge right here is hard edge painting. So we're going to practice that edge. Okay, so what I'd like you to do with any sort of writing utensils is I want you to make some wavy lines. I want you to make 5 of them, and don't make too many crazy, like I'll do one, not a non-example. Don't do this. That's going to be too hard. Make it a nice gentle curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just gave myself a challenge there. Don't do that. Okay. And what we're going to do, we have our flat brushes. And if you guys need to get your materials out. And so you're going to get out your paint and a paint palette. I just have my little paint palette here. You're going to get out a flat brush, some water, some paper towel, that kind of thing. So let's pause for a minute and get out these materials. And on your palette, you just need, like at school, you just need some blue and some white and some black. At home, you're just using these little guys here and just scoop out a little bit. See, I'll put the white right there. Don't forget to put the lid on if you're at home. I've got some blue, I've got some black, I'll get a little bit more blue. Always want to clean and dry your brush. All that stuff up there should be cleaned off, wiped off. And the trick to this really is just very simple. This is like the beginning of learning to paint, learning what brush is good, how to control your brush, all of those things. Okay, so I'm going to mix up darker blue. So I have just a little bit of blue. I'm going to take from my blue section, make a new little section or a little puddle, and then clean your brush and add a little bit of black. Remember, black goes a long ways, so a little is just perfectly fine of that black. Just mix it in. I'm just using real small amounts here. I'm trying to keep my brush It's really trying to keep the water out of my brush. So after I wash it, I kind of squeeze it out with a paper towel. Okay. Moving over here, and this is what I want you to watch first. Okay, so I have some paint on my brush, and I'm going to paint on this edge here. And we have a flat brush, and you'll notice that the top is flat and the sides are flat. And a lot of people think painters paint like this. And some painters do, like impressionist painters, right? But we're going to paint and get an exact hard edge, a sharp transition. So with the paint on my brush, I just want you to watch. I take it and I put it right, I have to move it over, right here. Okay, and I just push it down a little bit and I pull. If I go over that line, that's okay. And I just pull, not even lifting up my brush. And if my brush runs out of paint, which is probably about to, that's okay. Just keep pulling down that line, and then I can either turn my brush or come back and I can pull up. Personally, I find it easier to pull down. And then you can go in and paint in this little area here. Since we're painting on paper, it's soaking in really quickly, which is just fine for hard edge painting. If we were blending, that would be different. And I kind of messed up a little bit here. It's not a nice smooth curve. The next layer, I can fix that, or the next color, I can fix that. Okay, so just let it dry. The best part about acrylic paint is when it dries, you can paint right over it. Okay, so that's layer number 1. The next thing we're going to do is clean your brush again. And again, when you're cleaning your brush, you're getting it really clean in the water first, and then you're wiping it off, getting all of that water out. Water is really not the friend of a acrylic paint. Okay, it seems like it's easier when you first start, but then when you learn just a little bit about it, it is harder. Okay, especially when it's on a canvas. It's the water soaks in on the paper. It's not as big of a deal. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a lighter blue. So it doesn't really matter exactly how light it is. I'm going to take some white. You just kind of want to contrast so we can see that edge. Mixing up some light blue. And then we're going to start on that same edge, and we're going to pull it down. And you can go right on top of some of the other colors. If you made a mistake, this is a great way to fix it. Going slow. Go back upwards. And you can really see now why I said don't make really squiggly lines. Let me paint out this dark that I got. If you get any dark from the layer over here, you can just paint over it, let it dry, and paint over it. It's in my brush. You gotta clean my brush here. But what I like to do is I like to paint for something like this. I would paint the left and the right, and then I'd fill in. So let me do the challenging one here. You're trying to cover up that line. So flat brushes are very useful for this. Another brush that you might have at home that's very useful is called an angle brush. I'm quite fond of angle brush personally. And you can fill in inside, cover up any mistakes you made. It's really forgiving. You're going to make mistakes because mistakes are human, right? And so then you can just fix them with a second layer or third layer, depending. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to alternate dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. Okay, so keep going. I'm just going to take the blue that I have, the dark blue here that looks black. I'm just going to, because I need a little bit more paint in it. I'm not going to add any more black. It doesn't have to match the other color. I'm just going to add some blue to it. It just has to be the opposite of light. It doesn't have to be any exact color. Go in, just so that there's a contrast of the value. If you make a little mistake, I kind of made a little mistake right here. That's not a big deal. Let it dry. You could either cover it up with the color you're using now, or if you have some of that lighter color still, you could go back, but I'm just going to cover it up right here. So just keep alternating light, dark, light, dark. It's a fun little exercise. The colors don't have to match each time. Personally, I'm running into a little bit of issue where the paint color on the left is too wet and it's starting to blend on that edge. And so I just need to wait, let it dry, leave it alone, go to another spot, paint in that other spot until that is perfectly dry. And then I can do my hard edge on top of it. So if you're running into that issue, that's really common. And you just have to be patient and let it dry, which patience is the hard thing for me. And paint. So you're going to paint in this one too. When you're done, it should look like this. Okay, so take as much time as you need to do this. When you're done with the whole page, it should look like this. And this is what you're going to turn into canvas. Okay, these are your monochromatic notes with the hard edge, all this stuff. So this is what you're going to turn in and get points for.